started since we do have a quorum. That's okay. And we'll pass that. Okay, we'll go ahead and call to order the policy work session for Monday, July 27th, 2026. And we have quite a few policies to dig into, so we'll kind of move quickly, but also give everyone time to ask questions and discuss each of these as well. The first policy we're going to look at is 3217. And I believe because these are action items, that we probably should have a motion and a second, and then we'll discuss. Unless someone feels we need to do it differently than that. You know, typically for policy meetings, we don't vote, but we had previously discussed we would, because several of these policies need to be updated before the school year begins.
Okay, so you want to do a motion for approval?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, the ones that we are going to vote on, yes. I think when we get to the end, there are some we won't be voting on.
Okay, so not the first readings.
I believe all of them, we are going to do a first and second, and then it's not until we get to policy 2.14, 2.15, 2.16 that we don't need, that we'll just have discussions over those.
So I guess I move to move policy 3217 to second reading.
I'll second.
Great, a motion by Pickering, a second by Brand. Questions and comments about policy 3217 weapons, and this specifically pertains to professional staff. When we look at it, it's been revised to accommodate provisions in HEA 1177, and it makes clear that possession of firearms or weapons by visitors is prohibited, except for the possession of a firearm by a person who's legally allowed to possess a firearm and has been authorized by the board to carry that firearm in or on corporation property. Any questions or comments on that? I know that the first three policies, one of them, they're all three, the weapons policy, one of them is the professional staff that we're looking at. The second one, support staff. The third one is students, visitors. They're all the same, but different numbers.
No.
Okay. So we'll go ahead and take a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Vote passes 4-0. Okay. Next is revised policy 4217. As I said, it's in pertaining to support staff and the same weapons policy that's being accommodated.
I move to move policy 4217, weapons first reading to second reading.
Second. Okay, I have a motion by Pickering, a second by Brand. Or
Yeah,
Hillard.
practice, Chris.
Was it Hillard?
Yeah.
Hillard. Great. Questions or comments? Okay. Go ahead and vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Vote passes 4-0. Third, revised policy 7217.
I move to move policy 7217, possession of firearms and weapons by visitors, to second reading.
I'll second.
Okay, a motion by Pickering, a second by Brand. Questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Vote passes 4-0. Okay, next is item 2.04, which is policy 5772.
I move to move policy 5772, weapons, to second reading. Second.
Okay, motion by Pickering and a second by Hillard. Questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Vote passes 4-0. Next, policy 5136.01. This is the personal electronic equipment. This policy we've discussed multiple times, and it's come before the policy group and before the board. I guess I had a question, but I don't know if it can be answered. But it originally was policy 5136, and now it's .01. Is that just because it's, I don't know. Normally, even when they're revised, they retain their number.
I wonder, I'm just thinking it, that the 5136 is for personal electronic devices, and this one might be for other personal electronic devices, such as the ones that they've listed here.
Yes, that says other than.
Right, so where the one is the cell phone,
Okay.
and this is for computers, laptops, tablets, smartphones.
But I thought we approved, I know the one last week, it had smartwatches in it.
Yes.
But wait, but that was,
It was
That was-
5136, and it was approved. So this is just, 5136 is when we agreed to the storage for the communication devices, and during the instructional day that we would provide storage.
okay.
So I guess this is the other personal communication devices. Okay.
So just calling out those things even though they're referenced in the other one, I'm assuming.
I'm
Mrs.
assuming.
Goff was found.
So in the second paragraph, it speaks to why it's a separate policy.
Oh, thank you.
And it, like, if we just start at the highlight, teacher-directed use of devices except as provided in board policy 5136, personal communication
Mhm.
devices. So it specifies that this is separate of, so it does address it in the policy.
Okay, thank you, Karen.
Okay. So I guess I move to move policy 5136.01, personal electronic equipment other than personal communication devices revised to second reading.
Okay, a motion by Pickering, second by Brand. Questions, comments?
Mr. Hensley had recommended that the section 2A, or at the end of option 2, where it lists all the different devices, and it ends with R, and then there's a paragraph about students may use non-PCD technology resources. It gives those choices about whether they can use it on the corporation bus. We allow them to have it when they're on the student transit and on our buses, and so he just recommended that we remove that option,
That,
that section out of there.
the section where it lists all the devices?
No, where it talks about being able to use them while they're riding on the bus on corporate vehicles.
So around point 6 or 7 of the page, right before. So he's recommending that we strike that entire paragraph.
Correct.
So that they not be able to use those devices?
No, they
Oh,
are,
that they,
yes.
okay, okay.
Yes, that they are able to use them.
Okay.
Okay.
And then the policy said as long as they don't create a distraction or disruption or interfere with the environment, and it will be up to the supervisor, sponsor, advisor, coach to call that their discretion.
Yes.
Okay. So it's as presented in the revisions.
I have a question. It's, I mean, obviously, I think outside the policy walls, but since it is a state law for the cell phones, like what type of recourse? I don't know if there'll be an admin guideline, if there's, I know there's still a little discretion with teachers, but is that principals and you all will sort of come up with, hey, if we have a
We just discussed that this morning.
Okay.
enough, as guidance continues to come from the state level as well as even from counterparts and peers. We do plan, and that was highlighted this morning with our leadership team, to have some consistency along the route for readdressing and holding accountable for state statute with those occurrences.
Okay. That'll help, I think, teachers, this falls on teachers to kind of police, so if there's some guidelines, I think that'll be important. I know that Dennis, Mrs. Cooper, kind of, seems like she's one of the first schools, I could be wrong, but kind of created guidelines and stipulations and support. So, as their school did that, so then this will work for, so it's kind of okay. It'll be in an AG, I'm assuming, okay. Good question, Kim.
So I was, it's sort of, will the state really be cracking down? Or are they
I was
gonna
gonna ask what that looks like.
come have some secret shoppers?
That's always, and we addressed it this morning, not only along the lines of the statute pertaining to mobile devices and electronic, but also along the lines of attendance. There are new provisions for which locally, our judicial assistants locally are looking more work. We're hoping to light all this work.
Yep.
There, there. I see 2 paper packets, so. Okay, great. Any other questions or comments?
So just, oh, go ahead.
Sorry.
No,
On
go
the
ahead.
last pages, there are some options, and we have made some recommendations, so, there's not page numbers, but on where the policy ends, the top of that page, where it kind of falls under what you were talking about, the students who violate, the rights of another person, he had May checked, have their device confiscated and held, until the end of the school day, or if a parent or guardian picks it up, and maybe, so all of those choices, yes, checked.
That makes sense. I mean, it makes sense for me for the May to leave some open-ended and checking all 3. That.
And I remember Ray had, I think that was written into, like, if a phone got confiscated last year, like, parents had to follow a certain,
Depending upon the
yeah.
offense.
Mhm.
Second title of it. For it to be made because that way discipline can be progressive.
Yeah.
Okay.
First lesson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Turns on my second offense, you know what I mean? When it
Yeah.
comes to it,
Right.
it shall. This is what it is.
Got it.
What about the 3rd paragraph of after that? Is he recommending we select that option? It's,
That is not marked, but I can find out when it
Okay.
comes back to second reading.
okay. So we have a motion by Pickering, a second by Brand. Any other questions or comments?
I just think it's worth pointing out, I've had having school-age kids, they come and complain to me about why we're making them do this, and I remind them that it's the state, it's not us. We are just complying with what we're required to comply with. So, take your anger out on them, not here.
I'm just been hearing the passing periods, because I feel like the high school kids have done a pretty good job, and I'm like, sorry,
Yeah.
like,
Be an adjustment, but
yeah.
we all went to school
But if you
without
follow the
phones.
rules, then you never know what happens. Maybe it's just.
And
We
then-
had phone booths.
Exactly.
We had payphones in the
Payphone.
cafeteria, so.
Yeah.
And then just one clarifying question, I was trying, I can't remember this from the previous discussion, smartwatches are included in this?
Mhm.
There?
That was part of, I think, the
Yeah, I know,
definitions,
that's
so
the-
that was,
Mm-hmm,
Pretty,
yeah. Oh, actually, I did have one
Wasn't
question.
earbuds too?
AirPods.
Yeah, those are.
it's,
I think it's anything that can connect to the phone or to the internet.
Yeah.
wow,
Um,
draconian.
yeah. Will there be a process, because the one question I got was, how am I supposed to text you when I'm sick? And need you to come pick me up? So, I mean, we know, like, old school, you would say, can I go down to the nurse's office? And I just would think that that's a whole new training process for these kids of,
what
Cause
to
I've told,
do.
you know, go talk to the nurse. I don't wanna go talk to the nurse. Go. So hopefully, I'm assuming that will be, cause I feel like they have no concept of that sort of process.
Mhm.
That would be part of the student grade level meetings
Mhm.
at K through 8, I'm sure, at RHS, they review those handbooks with students, just to help them be reminded that there was a time prior to mobile devices and everything else.
Yes.
That we would go up and just simply ask permission to use.
And parents
Of
aren't
course.
gonna answer because we don't recognize the phone number, so,
Yes,
in the office.
absolutely. And we definitely have all those other
Yeah.
protocols and processes in
Okay.
place.
Okay. We'll go ahead and vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Vote passes 5-0. Next policy to review is policy 5410. This is promotion, placement, and retention. This came to the May meeting. And we can see the changes. They're pretty brief in it.
I move to move policy 5410, which is revised policy, promotion, placement, and retention to second reading.
Second.
A motion by Pickering, a second by Brand. Other questions or comments? I noticed at the end it says 2025, but it should say 2026. Maybe the first time we revisited this? I don't know, like at the very end where it says,
Mhm.
Well,
or
the
are we
top
just
says-
looking at this because I'm just confused by, most of the dates should say, the new green date should say 2026 is what
You're
most of
talking
them.
under where it says Neola?
Yes.
So this is part of the update from 2025 that we're going back and getting everything. back.
Okay,
There were
okay.
Several that were missed that were.
Okay, that are
going
shuffled
through.
back.
Yes. that we'll
Okay.
go through too.
Okay. Other questions or comments on this policy?
So are we, on the options, oh, we're checking, sorry, this one down here. A student who is eligible, oh wait, there's nothing checked on that first option. Where such patterns should coincide.
Mhm.
But then we do have the highlighted on option B. So are we checking that and then option B?
Yeah, and the past one had A, B, C, and D selected,
Okay.
but that's a valid point.
I guess that's maybe a
Or-
question to you guys, what,
Yeah, Mr. Hensy recommended A, B, C, and D.
okay.
Okay.
Did not have that box checked where it said such patterns should coincide with the system, so.
Okay.
I think it's just not recommending that we choose that. Maybe it wasn't in the previous policy.
Mm-hmm.
We did have all 4 checked in the previous policy.
Okay.
But it does show that in the previous policy, that statement isn't there.
Yeah, I see that, yeah. So maybe find out about that. Okay, any other questions or comments on this policy? Okay, you have a motion by Pickering, a second by Brand. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Vote passes 5-0. Next policy is policy 5500, student conduct. And it says this policy's been revised to include provisions addressing academic honesty and AI.
So.
I don't have that.
Yeah, I don't have that one.
Did I
either.
skip it? Or-
No, it's,
Oh.
it's not,
It's online. It's part of the.
Well, I'll go ahead and move, to make a motion to move policy 5500, student conduct, to second reading.
Second.
Motion by Pickering, a second by Brand. So this policy addresses,
You second that?
AI. I had a question as to whether, you know, the technology, our tech team has looked at because I know they helped build the policy on, when we discussed AI previously. And I'm assuming that this coincides with what we already have discussed.
Kristen?
Yes.
I'm sorry, just for the record, I seconded the
Oh,
motion.
you did? I'm sorry. So that was a, thank you. Second by Stevens. So Elizabeth, does Stephen have suggestions for options for the artificial intelligence language, and has technology been privy to this? Okay.
So he has the option for the use of artificial intelligence tools for schoolwork. And then that, within that paragraph underneath that, the check mark under Seaboard Policy 74 or 7540.09.
Mhm.
That checked. And then the next option would be under all teachers beginning in the elementary grades will educate students, has that checked.
Okay.
And then below that, where teachers are authorized in consultation with the principal to apply appropriate consequences, he recommends to remove that or not include that in the policy, that would be left up to the principal and progressive discipline.
Mm-hmm.
And then further down, superintendent is authorized to establish administrative guidelines, has that checked. And the second option as well, checked in that paragraph. And after that, student conduct shall be governed by the rules and provisions of the student code of conduct, and the code of conduct shall be reviewed annually, because that's what we currently do.
Mhm. And then will a summary of the
Summary,
policy?
yeah.
Okay, good. So we're leaving out the paragraph that kind of puts it on the teachers, but it just is gonna depend on the principal and the building and how they work through that. But I do like that, you know, education for teachers on, you know, what this looks like and what's acceptable and not acceptable, because this is an ever-evolving field here.
And I'm not sure if the tech team has had a chance to review it, but I
Mhm.
can ask Mr. Honsley, and before it comes back for second reading, we can have them put their eyes on it.
Okay, that'd be great. Any other questions or comments? Okay, a motion by Pickering, a second by Stevens to move this to second reading. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Vote passes 5-0. Next, we will look at policy 5517.01, and this is on bullying. What I noticed in this, it shortens the time of reporting from five business days after an incident to by the end of the next instructional day. That's a pretty significant change that's, I'm sure, needed. So kind of those timetables have changed.
I make a motion to move policy 5517.01, bullying, to second reading.
Second.
Motion by Pickering, a second by Stevens. Oh, Fran, man, my ear just hears some man's voice down that way. Fran, sorry. Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
And I mean, if they, because bullying can be like progressive, right? I'm assuming that if it's not brought up immediately, I mean, the goal is to, right, so you can address it, but that doesn't hinder any action being taken by the school if issues get brought up down the road, but then it's also, well, this happened. I mean, it's hard to prove after the fact, so I think the goal is to like address it and bring it to light sooner rather than later. But I just didn't know if there's a process in place to really, as a parent, notify them of that. And yes, there's a thing, I probably sign a registration.
Says about-
But I think that's an important one of like, let us know as soon as possible. And I don't know where we call that out separately to parents or especially to kids.
Do we have, I mean, is that,
Any particular bullying, is that what you, as far as, for example,
Mhm.
Mrs. Scout came down and shared that she
Mhm.
has had some discomfort with particular students, would we immediately notify the parents after we investigate the matter as school?
Yeah, or if the student didn't immediately bring it up, then the parents wouldn't have immediately brought it up. But then if the bullying has escalated, you know there's going to be probably a situation where, well, this happened 2 weeks ago, this happened a month ago, and just trying to educate parents and students to immediately address it. I'm sure, I was saying, we probably call that out somewhere, but to really push that timeline out and letting students know or letting parents know.
would that be part of curriculum for students on bullying, like in the classroom, that you don't let but also kind of the definition of bullying, which is different than someone just said one mean thing, that.
Yes.
That, I think that is that something you guys can speak on, like what curriculum or what? Is it?
I'm not sure if in the health and wellness courses they
Mhm.
discuss such behaviors. I wouldn't be surprised if they did. I can't speak directly to it now, but going back to that grade level meeting at the beginning of the year that administration has with students, these are things and topics that come up and are addressed and repeatedly encouraged, because if I allow Kim to on Monday knock the books out of my hands, I don't say anything because I want to be cool with Kim. I want to make sure that Kim knows that, hey, I'm not going to tell on you. I'm not going to tell. But then come Tuesday, she's not only knocking the books out of my hands, but now she's tripping me.
Yeah.
On Thursday, the following week, now that's what we try to discourage students from allowing. And the sooner, to your point, they notify administration, the sooner administration can mitigate the matter. And my past practices and what our data is showing, they've been successful
Okay.
deter such behaviors. But yes, to your point, they'll educating students to have the courage to speak up when they see something or experience something, say something.
Well, I also think as a parent, sometimes if a kid says something to you, like, little Bobby pushed me, I grew up, we all grew up a different time of like, well, did you tell someone, but also not sweep it under the rug, but trying to give them some guidance versus, because it's also like, yes, you want them to go tell and bring it up, but you don't want to say, well, go tattle. It's like a fine line. So, but it's good if you guys are, like, if it's being addressed in a different way to the
Piece of
students.
advance is making sure that your kid has a trusted adult in the building. So
Yeah.
at the beginning of the
Mhm.
year, because what we run into at the secondary level a lot is something happened to me and I tell my social studies teacher, Mr. Wright, that this happened, and then it happens again with the same student. It happened to be in my English class, and I tell, so he treats it as a one-time
Yes,
incident.
yeah.
That she recognizes, doesn't realize there's a pattern there,
Mhm.
so it has to be kind of reported to the same person so we can recognize that there's a pattern. You know what I
Okay.
mean? So for parents, yes, that's what we try to let parents know. That's oftentimes what I say. Who do your child go? Who's their go-to in the building? Do I always go to the counselor? Do I go talk to the assistant principal? Do I go to the teacher that I can confide in each time that I keep getting pushed by the same kid in the hallway? So
That's a good point of
for parents
clarification, yeah.
to know, because we can being kids, it's a one-off, have those things happen, but we may not recognize the pattern until it's too late. And then we say, well, they told Mr. Wright, well, he thought it was a one-time thing, and then, you know what I mean? So that's
Yes.
where it gets complicated.
So you're just throwing out parent advice too, of like, go tell the same,
Yeah, trying to
like,
report it to
let the same person know, yeah.
So it's not tattling, someone I can have confidence in, I feel comfortable with. So it's not tattling, it's
Yeah.
just talking to
Is the student asked, have, you know, when they want to report this to you, in the analogy that you gave, has this happened before? And if so, have you reported to someone else? That way, there's not a disconnect, you know, told you that's only one time, told you that's only one time because you didn't know that I told him once, so.
And to that point, Member Stevens, one of the things that, from an administration standpoint, that is done is to educate students on this very hypothetical, so as to help students understand the importance of notifying an administrator and or counselor, right? Because it's gonna be that administrator that really starts connecting some dots, asking those follow-up questions, whereas oftentimes with teachers, again, all educators take these matters seriously, but not knowing and sometimes not being able to connect with fellow colleagues in the building, I wasn't aware that Karen's been doing this all day long. I just, but administration is the animal counseling.
The rough part of that is the way society is now and the way that students and children are being trained by some parents. And you used the expression a moment ago, tattletelling or tattling, or, you know, the word on the street is snitching. Here's the problem with that, because a lot of parents will say, don't you, you know, man up, don't say anything about it, you know, and they're the ones that shove it under the rug. Until it gets to the point where that student is actually assaulted, hurt, and then it falls back upon the corporation, why didn't you do something about this?
Yep.
And that happens, which is why we heavily encourage students from when they're young all the way up through high school. That again, if you're seeing something, definitely say something. Most importantly, when we are made aware, when the administration is made aware, we're able to mitigate matters. And the fear that a lot of students and parents and guardians sometimes have is retaliation, and very rarely does that occur. And I say this assume even in the world of law enforcement.
Yep.
I can't speak to it because I'm not an expert, but I say to assume when things are reported, it's very rare that someone circles back to, but I know within our schools, I can speak to, and especially as a former principal, helping parents, guardians, and students understand that if we're aware of it, we know, but we can't mitigate those things we don't know. To your point.
If you don't report it, it never happened.
Right, I have a motion by Pickering and a second by Brand. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Vote passes 5-0. Next will be policy 7455, accounting system of capital assets. First reading.
I move to move policy 7455, accounting system for capital assets, to second reading.
Second.
Okay, a motion by Pickering and a second by Stevens. Questions or comments? So the selections are left blank. Are we selecting the same as we've had before, Karen, the amounts?
They should all be marked. Should
Okay.
do that now.
Okay. All of them marked, and then is the amount, the method, let's see, there was something else was, the second page, I guess.
So currently, we utilize $5,000. The threshold has changed, and I believe it is $10,000 by State Board of Accounts. So we can increase it. We can make it whatever we want it to be. So some schools do $50,000, but I don't really recommend that. So it just determines what we consider a capital asset and what we track on our fixed asset schedule for depreciation. So we can set that value at whatever level that the corporation deems responsible. If you see the drafting note, the federal regulation allows for 10,000. That's why State Board of Accounts changed to theirs in the state of Indiana. I would say that it's typical that we would follow that. Just keeps things clean. And then we're not doing extra work, but we're also maintaining the federal and the state guidelines for what we should. So I would recommend that we go $10,000 on that threshold.
other questions or comments?
Do you still sort of, I mean, clearly you probably still track assets less than that, but you just don't have to report on them, or you
Depends on
don't
what it
track?
is.
Okay.
So if it's a desk, we don't track a desk
Right.
for $10,000
Mhm.
because they depreciate out within like
Mhm.
5-10 years. But a vehicle, yes. So it depends on what it is. But typically, the fixed asset report is extremely detailed and it's required.
Mhm.
So 10,000 isn't gonna be too bad to track. If you, honestly, like just a serving counter in food service is about 12 grand. So that's kind of where the threshold kind of turns.
Mhm.
So $5,000 these days, a desk will cost $5,000. I think that it is outrageous that we would put every desk in the corporation on our spreadsheet, because it's going to probably quadruple that sheet. And so I would say $10,000 would help us with that mapping, but it would still get the equipment that we have that makes the
Okay.
sense to it.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, all those I have a motion by Pickering, a second by motion by Pickering, second by Stevens. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Vote passes 4-0. Next, policy 8400, school safety information.
Make a motion to move policy 8400, school safety information, to second reading.
Second.
Motion by Pickering, a second by Stevens. Questions or comments? I guess, are we selecting all of this same choices as before?
Yes. So on the first page of Mr. Hensley has recommended, the first one and the second one be checked. On the second page, he recommended, once it starts to, the letters, that the C, the school resource
Mhm.
officer, not D, since we don't have corporate police officer. He recommends F, G, I, J.
Mhm. And the options after that, is it the superintendent recommends and approves the school's plan or the corporation's plan?
We got both of them checked, but then they're both marked off, so.
Okay.
What we do now is both the school, each individual school
School has
plan
a
is
plan.
verified and the corporation, so I would say both need to be
Okay.
marked. That's what we currently practice.
Okay.
We have to be turned into the state, so it's our natural way to go.
The next page is about applying for matching grants, which we currently do.
Okay, so that's selected. Obviously, this is a complicated policy. There's like 10 Indiana codes that are marked at the end.
The next page that offers options is further down where it starts talking about threat assessments. So we do have that checked.
Page 7. Okay.
And then in the second to last paragraph, it looks like, the threat assessment team would be a school safety specialist, a school counselor or guidance counselor if available. We marked off not checking the school psychologist. Next paragraph, the team will meet on a regular basis, and that's quarterly.
remove the paragraph or not select the option
Not
without?
select that
Okay,
option.
yeah.
And then if the board would like to leave the optional language for the victims of violent crime. Student who transferred to our district who had been a victim of violent crime.
So that paragraph just says that if there's someone who is a victim of violent crime, the parents, they have a choice to change schools, basically. Seems like, I feel like we
I
should
thought that
have
was
that
like
option.
required, yeah, I do.
I think
thought
we
it
should
was
have that
required,
option.
But maybe it's not for schools, but yeah, I think we should too.
Mhm. Yeah.
We'll check that.
Yeah.
And then on the last page at the bottom, the corporation may request direction to resources that are available to provide bleeding control kits to the corporation from the Department of Homeland Security. Because school safety is now housed under the Department of Homeland Security, is no longer under the Department of Education.
Just like a reminder, I think that optional language, because it says start and stop, is the corporation police if it's, you have corporation police.
Oh, okay,
So I
I
think
see.
that's the part that it refers to.
Oh, okay.
It's on the,
For the students,
it's like the page before.
oh, okay,
If they may establish a corporation police firm.
okay.
I don't know what he
Yeah,
thought about
okay,
that, but
okay.
that's if they put it optional.
I see what you're saying, okay.
Do we have another policy about school safety, but like building safety, like crosswalks, and I know we've talked about that before, and I was just thinking about the school safety committee. I mean, clearly this is more crime-based, threat-based, but I feel like we talked about that a long time ago, but.
Did a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Ron talked about like specifically crosswalks, and
Crosswalks.
partnering
Yeah.
with the city to see if we could get those
Mhm.
touched
It's
up.
been coming up a lot
Yeah.
lately. But I know this, I thought it was the Safe School Committee. Maybe it's a different committee, maybe they do both.
That I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does anyone?
I did a study about a year and a half or so ago. It hasn't been quite 2 years, in regards to the necessity of crossing guards. Because at the time, we only had one currently, and she was employed
That's what it was, yeah.
by the Richmond Police Department, and it was at Westview. There was a need for one at Star. I don't think we had one at Star. I think it was just the one at Westview. And then it came under the previous RCS Police Department, the discussion with them as to who would pay for it if we were to have them in all schools. Me personally, I think it'd be great to have them at all schools, especially those around East Main Street, you know, those who have to cross there, National Road, those schools, Fairview, and those areas that are highly trafficked. But again, then that goes back onto who's gonna fund the budgeting of that, and how's it gonna be selected and trained, and the continuous training of it. So, I agree with you, Kim, it's something that I still feel if we're going to be talking about school safety, there's got to be that, my personal feeling, that discussion about implementing or re-implementing something like that, or at least having the discussion on it.
No, I agree. Well, I know it surprised me when I moved back that, and this is clearly like a whole REA discussion, so I'm not trying to get in the weeds about teachers alternating and
That's-
volunteering.
we had that-
At the end of the day, 'cause we don't.
That was part of that discussion
we
too.
Don't have that
having-
either, which would be at least helpful, but that's a whole nother combo.
However, to that point, what I will say, and I think it's consistent with Mr.
Would they get mad if we just painted a bigger crosswalk on the boulevard? Right, like, you know?
No, I mean, if you put it in writing, I can approve it and get it to the Board of Works.
I'll buy some paint.
Yeah, the other thing that the street department has been willing to do, and Ricky is really phenomenal over there, you notice at the high school now we have stripes,
Yeah.
so that it designates the crosswalk very clearly. He is always willing to do that for us, but to Aaron's point, we have to put it in request in writing, and then they take it to Board of Works, and so,
I'll sign off on it right now.
Yeah, but that is always an option for our schools. When they did that at the high school, he let me know that all we have to do is put in the request, and they would be willing to at least
Okay.
look at it. Now, they can't guarantee approvals, but, they can look at it, so we would just, I don't know that 40 would be able to get it done at test, because we're trying really hard not to have kids walk 40, but they do it anyway. But streets like the Radfords cross at 18th Street at Westview, that one we know kids do, and so it's just something we could look at if we wanted to help the situation possibly.
So now you said the one by
They put
Hibbert,
up
that's
signage over
county,
there too,
right?
didn't they?
'Cause it's 27.
Yeah, 27, 40, those are all state controlled.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Have a motion by Pickering, a second by Stevens. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Vote passes 5-0. Next is item 2.11, policy 8405, the environmental health and safety issues, indoor air quality. This is animals in the classroom and idling vehicles. I just need a motion to move it to second reading.
Make a motion to move policy 8405, environmental health and safety issues, indoor air quality, animals in the classroom, and idling vehicles on school property, technical correction, to second reading.
Second.
A motion by Pickering, a second by Brand. Questions or comments? I'm not even sure what the technical correction was on it, because it's not noted. I remember we talked quite a bit about animals in the classroom and about, getting approval from the principal.
That's highlighted.
Oh, it is? Okay, I guess I'm looking online and
I
it's
did the
not.
same thing, I clicked the top one, it's the bottom.
Oh, okay, thank you.
I did the same thing.
It's highlighted unless
Oh,
approved by
yeah.
the building level administrator for a loan.
I see it now. Yes, yep, and we kind of discussed in policy about it being per semester unless because we didn't want to make it difficult for teachers, but we also want to make sure that principals have oversight over animals in the classroom. And then quite a bit of the older policies were moved.
Mr. Hensley said that would go into the administrative guidelines.
Okay. Okay.
One thing I'd point out is we continuously see and hear about the issues of temperatures, in the wintertime not being less than 68 degrees, not higher than 78 degrees. In the summertime, it happens all the time. We've got a fantastic HVAC guy, but we know that our buildings and our systems are antiquated, so how confident this says all instructional rooms, offices, locker rooms, maintaining those. I think it's safe to say that might be nearly impossible to keep those at that temperature all the time. So in that case, do we move classrooms? Do we take kids out and put them in a different room or area of the building for instruction? Because again, we see it time after time, sometimes day in, day out, that we know we're not meeting this. So are we reacting to it to get them
This
to?
is like letter D, is that what you're
Yeah.
on, page 2?
Under indoor air quality, that section.
Yeah, where it reads, when air conditioning is being provided, the system
Mhm.
shall be capable of providing enough. We have it marked out.
So, to move to
And
AG.
that's all struck out.
So all this is going away then?
All that, I've got,
Okay, cause I'm looking at it online and it does not show that on
A
the board
through
docs.
E, and
Are you
one-
on the
one
vote?
It's the
form.
second one.
The
Click on the
second
second one.
And then entire section.
Second
The
option.
second one shows, no, there's two, I think.
that's the
That's
lower
what I
one.
just
The
did too. I
technical
clicked on the wrong
correction,
one.
okay. So I guess what, okay.
Did you find it?
Yeah.
But it is moving to AG, which are our guidelines for that too.
So are we essentially saying that we're going to allow buildings to be whatever temperature and continue instruction, or what are we saying, I guess? I'm a little confused on that.
No.
Cause if this is all stricken and coming out, are we taking away the requirements that be within temperature ranges?
Well, it kind of reads that when air conditioning is being provided, the system shall be capable of providing. Doesn't necessarily say it will, because we can't, I think, always guarantee that. I mean, that's the goal, but,
Yeah, I guess my question is though, we see time after time after time
Yeah.
after time where we have issues, 'cause we've got old systems, they need, we know we
Mhm.
need a lot of work done to them, so how do we react to that? I guess, do we have a plan to move those impacted classes to other parts of the building that might not be impacted, or?
So, I know that, to our point,
Mhm.
this becomes an annual, issue that we address, but I know that, with her experiences, there in operations, Mr. Scout can speak to some of the, protocols that we've exercised in the past, we've found success in, but to Mr. Brand's point, President Brand's point, we also have been trying to, equip ourselves with some equipment and resources to deal with these scales.
So, yes, we always react. Sometimes it works faster than other times, sometimes it works better than other times, but, they take readings every single day of every single classroom in every single building. The custodians do walkthroughs first thing in the morning. If there's a few things, if a temperature isn't correct in a building, in a classroom, then if it's too extreme, they will move the classroom, they'll work with building principals. That happens, very frequently when it's at extreme levels. We also work to do, like, we'll try to bring, if it's cold, we'll try to bring some warming equipment in that's just temporary equipment. We'll try to bring in fans if possible. I know that sometimes, we have even, before any students get there, we will go and, because the mornings are so much cooler, especially in the fall and the spring, we will open up hallways and we'll try to push air throughout the building, from the cold areas into the warmer areas to help balance everything out. So we do work very hard to try to get things to good and appropriate levels. But, as with any big building or old building and old equipment, it doesn't always work perfectly. So, but we do try hard every single day to react to those extremes. We try to not have them, but as we know, that's just very challenging, so.
Yeah, I mean, I know that the days of like, it's 85 one day, cold front comes through, it's 60 the next, those are almost impossible at a large building to manage, but it's when, we're in long cold or hot spells that, it seems like, be it publicly or students or whatever, we're constantly seeing pictures of challenges. I mean, obviously I know we're in the financial situation's a little tricky, but do we need to look at hiring help for our HVAC? I mean,
think
like I said,
that-
we've got a great tech, great
Yeah.
HVAC guy. Do we need
I think
more?
that what you are looking at and preparing for through the strategic planning process will address a lot of it. You have preliminary information that we've talked through on, some of the buildings, and so as we continue that conversation, throughout the next couple months, I think we're working on it pretty hard. I know that Mr. McCurdy and Mr. Walton and Mr. Pritchard have been putting information together for you, so you know exactly which buildings get addressed and how they get addressed, but, I do think that quite a bit of that focus point will be on that. And then, like you said, the financial piece of it, it's probably not gonna be enough to cover. I think that will be a long-term goal that we keep working toward, but we are doing what we can, to make those changes and get those things up
parts that, for that, building at that time, was not readily available, but yeah, depending upon the nature of the beach per se, we definitely, try and address it as, seamlessly as possible, allow our structure to continue, but, never puts anyone in harm's way.
Who is the, indoor air quality coordinator?
I believe that falls under, Mr. Wall, as
Okay.
director of facilities. And, that's something Mr.
Read the best practices for indoor air quality for schools in the Indiana Schools Handbook, apparently, I'm like, okay, I didn't know that existed, so.
I guess my question would be, that whole section that looks like it's gonna be crossed out is, as the board, I mean, I know it says it may be included in a admin guideline, but to me, I feel like we'd wanna put some, like.
Talking about the section I just talked
Yeah.
about? Yeah, I
Some
don't feel comfortable
guidelines or
with it.
parameters, I mean, some of that gets more detailed, but I don't wanna completely move all of that out, like, it should have a better reference so we can say there is an admin guideline, because I feel like if we just take that out, not that you guys would do that, but like, there's no reference point for any of that. So. I
It'll
think
turn
it's-
into, well, the board approved removing it, so.
So I
We're gonna
want to
let the
reference
classroom be
that there
100
should be an
degrees.
admin guideline with the detail, I guess is.
Yeah, I would,
Point in that
I think that
section.
needs to stay in there.
Yeah, I mean,
You melted my child.
For me, I just am worried about the detail in it, I guess. That maybe it shouldn't be in the policy, the exact degree that we're aiming for. I mean, obviously we want to keep everyone comfortable, but I feel like that should go in administrative guidelines. And I think, I don't know.
are you
The
okay with like, at least
Yes,
referencing
saying
it
that we
here?
do have
Yeah.
it, yeah, I think that would be appropriate.
Okay.
That'd be my opinion, but how does everyone else feel? We can,
I like that. At the same time, I think, as you're saying, a lot of these things really need to remain, but I mean, if there's a reference to, if we pull it out of here, but stipulate that it is included in administrative guidelines, we're covered.
But can't those change at pretty much any point in time?
Yeah, but if it says, if the policy says there needs to be one, I mean, yes, they could change and make it say whatever.
I don't feel,
so
I
yeah.
mean, if I'm voting on this, I don't feel comfortable putting it in,
Administrative guidelines?
yeah.
So maybe we just need some feedback on what the state actually says.
Well, and that's
'Cause you know-
one of the things that, I believe, Mrs.
why
Dowd
it's
was-
recommended to move it out.
Yeah, I'd like to know why we want to remove it, because I know the first time we go through an issue where there's temperature swings in a building, we'll be the ones, you know, taking the punches, because we approved this policy to just
Mhm.
basically make it okay on the surface. Not saying that that's reality, but we know how it works, so.
You melted my child.
Yeah.
So it sounds like maybe this needs to move on to another reading, but we need some clarification, Elizabeth, on why it's suggested that this section move out. What would be the benefits of that?
In the meantime, we will continue to do our own, the State Department of Health recommendations.
Okay. So I have a motion by Pickering, a second by Stevens, to move this to a second reading. A motion by Pickering, a second by Brand to move this. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Vote passes 5-0. Next, we will look at policy 8452, the AED policy.
Make a motion to move policy 8452, automated external defibrillators, AED, to second reading.
Second. That's Stevens.
Thank you. A motion by Pickering, a second by Stevens. Questions or comments? I know we updated this a year ago and had some longer discussions about this, but the SEA 350 required us to take another look at this, and it looks like there are some changes.
Under the options, Mr. Hensley recommended that we
thoughts on that drill. That would be for the beginning of each season for all sports. So one drill, not every sport would have to have a separate, that would put a lot on that, but,
Say probably fall, winter, spring.
okay, yeah.
3 different drills during the course of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Do
I mean,
schools have these for like teachers and professional staff during the daytime too? Like, so, like if, cause I thought about this the first time that, we had this discussion previously, having practice at Dennis for basketball, like, I don't know if I know where the AED is in that building, so it's like, go find it. So if I walk up to, Ms. Pickering, who teaches at whatever building, whatever class, do you know where the AED in your building is? Like, I think, does everybody know where those are? I think that would be hugely important to maybe have that drill during the days as well.
I think so too. I mean, even here, I would clearly run to the break room, but that's only because I'm in HR and I don't even know if there's one in the break room.
So President Brandon, you're referencing classroom teachers?
Yeah, like, we're talking about having a drill for coaches or whatnot to make sure they know, but do we also do that for classroom teachers and everybody that's in the building during the day?
Not so much the drill, but as far as the locations, those are typically on safety plans or some of the plans found in the classroom, like the fire drill.
I would just think, like, even during a staff meeting, just, God forbid you ever need it. But, you wouldn't want somebody having to run to a safety plan or a chart to say, where's this thing at in an emergency?
As a coach, are there always employees there? Because I feel like if you're a
There's not always,
coach
no.
or community,
I mean, there's times when, it's probably not common, but there's times when you practice, you might be
community
the
group.
only coach.
yeah, like if a community group is using a space,
Do they know? Yeah.
they wouldn't know.
Are students trained on it?
No.
I don't think so.
I mean, I was just thinking even like we had soccer banquet in the cafeteria, but there's like no staff really.
Are students trained on this?
Maybe the career class, the EMT class, but yeah.
Just general students.
But one of the things from the suggestion that we're going to do is speak with our principals about periodically sharing with teachers where those are located, especially if they change anytime because of different matters. But beginning of the year and then again beginning of semester 2, and then periodically principals have an opportunity to remind families that.
Yeah, I just figure that's probably one of those things you can never over communicate, just, in the event of emergency.
Or to be able to communicate to someone to run and get it
Correct.
is also.
That's step one, isn't it? Using it?
Well, it's different if you're running to get it,
Or no, that's step
but if
one,
you're
it's called
trying
911.
to tell a kid to go run and get it, or that's also.
Yeah, being able to articulate exactly where
Yes,
it's at.
yeah.
So it sounds like the staff members will be made aware in their staff meetings where it is, or they are, but they will be reminded. And then we are interested in selecting I, which is seasonal. Is that what I'm hearing from everyone? 3 seasons, which the venue will be used for. Is that, I don't know who would go about doing that, if that's
Athletic directors.
athletic directors. Okay. Yep.
Any of the coaches, they have, the trainer has all the safety plans for all the venues.
Okay.
So make sure that each of the coaches have that emergency plan, so.
Okay, and then a drill will be held, whatever that means. I'm not sure, that seems pretty vague, drill.
Real, I don't know what that means either.
I don't either.
You're talking about it showing you where it's at.
Or each
But
one in
drills-
the building even,
Yeah,
So I don't know what that.
yeah, like an emergency drill? I'm not sure, just, I mean, I've never used one, but I know they're very self-explanatory using, and there's like step 1, like it says it on it, and it's very like 1, 2, 3.
It literally walks you through.
Yeah,
I've
walks
never,
you
like,
through,
live
yes.
used one, but on dummies, it
Yeah.
literally walks you how.
And then there's some requirements on the, like, to your point, part of the directing people is part of one of
Yeah, see what they think about what that drill, what that means to them, and,
Has those plans, and I know at the high school level, the varsity level, they do those up there.
Yeah.
There's a lot more changeover with coaches.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So,
That there is.
okay. Any other questions or comments on policy 8452? Have a motion by Pickering, a second by Stevens to move this to second reading. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Vote passes 5-0. Next is policy 8462, child abuse and neglect, first read.
I make a motion to move policy 8462, child abuse and neglect, to second reading.
Second. Brand.
A motion by Pickering, a second by Brand. Questions or comments?
See, what was the update?
There's quite a few options on this, and a significant change at the beginning of our current policy, which looks like it now includes youth coaches and volunteer coaches, so it makes the requirement to report immediately, not just on employees of the corporation in general, but also volunteers and other responsible adults who work with students in our district.
So how do we tell them that currently? I mean, I would think coaches get the, but.
A volunteer in a
volunteer
classroom.
assistants.
I don't know when they fill out paper.
How do, like, people that are volunteering with coaches or ECAs or teams kind of get the rundown of they also need to be reporting in that whole?
Or how are they made aware that they need to
Yeah.
report? I think, I think, as they, being on board with the volunteer, application forms, but then also, of course, from an athletic standpoint, the extracurriculars and those things, was all reviewed at the beginning of the year. A great question would be if you have someone that comes in middle of the year and knows
Mhm.
what's there, or changes mid-season, and it's already been reviewed.
Yeah.
But let's do some homework here as to what protocol we have in place to make sure that those.
And this kind of reads also like I'm a teacher and I have a volunteer come in my classroom. That could be that scenario too, just they
Mhm.
come in for one day, I guess.
Does that mean parents, do they come in and volunteer? Cause they wouldn't
I think a volunteer is a
necessarily
volunteer,
know.
yeah.
I mean, I think a parent might pick up on
Mhm.
something, but.
Mhm.
And it says any volunteer
Yep.
shall be responsible.
Which I guess it is probably on that volunteer form too.
Mhm. And then Elizabeth, on the second page, those choices, the training may include,
On the bottom of the first page.
Oh, thank you.
Is, underneath that first paragraph, or second paragraph, Mr. Hensley has checked that the building administrator shall secure prompt medical attention for such
Mhm.
injuries reported. And then the DCS is checked. Oh, wait, I think maybe he misunderstood that, so DCS, but we are not checking the local prosecutor. And then on page 2, A and B are checked,
Mhm.
C and D are not.
Mhm.
Same thing, A and B, C and D are not. And then there was a note here about background checks. We are doing background checks every 3 years, for employees.
I
Is-
just got mine. Please give the last 30 years of addresses.
Background and the
And I'm
the
like,
comprehensive DCS.
Is
check.
that
I was
what
like,
we've
how did I
always
do this
done, is
last
3
time?
years? Is that typical, or do we?
It was 5.
Oh, okay,
And
okay.
so because of the addition to Head Start, works, try to keep track of Head Starts every 3 years, and the other employees every 5. We recommend to move everybody to 3 years.
Okay. Any other questions about this policy? Have a motion by Pickering, a second by Brand to move it to second reading. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Vote passes 5-0. Next is a recension of a policy 2312 on class size.
I moved to, what is that? We're rescinding it? I moved to,
That's just an FYI.
Okay, this is
Oh,
just on
that's an
consent.
FYI.
This
It'll
is,
be
okay.
on consent.
what kind of motion do I need to make?
Okay,
for that?
no motion
Okay.
needed. Any discussion about this? It says this is not necessary policy anymore, it's rendered obsolete. I think repeal of prime time. Okay, any questions or comments about that? Okay, we'll move on to policy 9270. This one, we are looking for an approval of this policy
Okay.
before the school starts, yep.
I moved to approve policy 9270, equivalent instruction for compulsory attendance compliance purpose, homeschooling and non-accredited schools. Third reading.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Pickering, a second by Stevens. And questions or comments? We've had quite a bit of discussion in policy meeting and in this board meeting. We had decided that procedures would be set forth in the AG, but they needed to, first we needed the policy before the AG would be developed. I think I wrote down Austin's quote last time, which was RCS first and foremost. I wrote that down from our last meeting. Although obviously we want students to experience everything RCS have to offer, and we want, students in our district to come to our schools. We also realize that budgets are tight, and we want you to come here, but we also we can't put out other RCS students who choose to go to RCS. We want both. So this seems like a solution for both. But what other questions or comments do we have?
Does this address the concerns that were brought forth in our last public commentary?
If I remember, if we talked about that, I know that Friends School doesn't, it was brought that they don't take the waiver money, but we also don't get that. Is that correct?
But, and they also
But-
don't have a high school.
Correct.
Right, they do
Right.
not,
So-
that's right.
Yeah. And I know this one, I question the part about, yes, we need a policy before the AG, but we don't know what the AG is gonna say. And I would want some of those stipulations in the actual policy.
Do we have an idea
And
what
then
the
it could have more
AG?
detail in the AG, but.
Yeah. Do we have an idea what the AG currently looks like?
So
or-
there isn't one, and when Mr. Hensley was trying to find one in other school districts to try to build one off of, there are no other districts that allow students to participate.
And I've referenced that before, that the typical process or the typical response to this is that unless you're fully enrolled or fully on board, then the à la carte experience is something that's abnormal. But it's written for community schools, unique.
And-
And so the AG would just have more procedural pieces on if a student from a non-public school would want to come and enroll for those half-time, what those procedures would be, and then if it's a resident student at a home school, what those procedures would be for them to enroll in that, at least one credit or one class per day.
So does it make sense to also break it out? Because I feel like middle school sports are different than high school sports. But does that make sense? or is it like, should it be one policy for both?
Well, I think that. and
Or I guess we go down to
Richard
third
could talk
grade
about
and
The
stuff.
IHSA guidelines really dictate what high school has to
Mhm.
follow.
And is,
Which oftentimes, most corporations, they trickle it down to
Mhm.
that junior high.
Yeah, cause I feel like I'm not gonna speak for everyone, but I feel like we're all probably pretty aligned on the high school part. But you can come here, but for me, it's that middle school, like the Friends School is the perfect example of,
The athletic department, for simplicity's sake, I mean, it's been happening, like, gaming, but for simplicity's sake, would prefer standard, like, you don't have to have a physical to participate in those athletics either. They would prefer that students come in with a physical so that they know they're healthy enough to
Mhm.
participate. So they just follow the IHSA and just kind of say 5th grade, you just start playing school sports, you
Mhm.
have to have a physical. So, for tracking purposes, not that we can't do it, we couldn't do it, but that having the one class for everybody, having the same message would be a little more efficient for them.
mhm.
so I think, we need to establish, we can accept this, but we maybe need to, or we cannot, but we need to establish what we want the AG to say, I guess.
Mhm.
Yeah, 'cause I know I mentioned at the meeting too, that, if you got down to a situation where cuts were involved and a non-RCS student made the team over an RCS student, that's a problem.
Well, but couldn't it, I am thinking of it in the sense of and I'm just looking at like, maybe homeschool, maybe friends school, they can come
Mhm.
to practices and participate. But, are there a lot of cuts at the middle school level? I don't know anymore, like,
Cuts
you
at
know.
the middle school level,
Yeah.
depending on the sport.
Mhm.
There's-
So like, can they be kind of kept over here because they're coming to, I guess maybe that's the question too, of
Like if you were
can we
on
allow
that,
them to come practice and play and,
but then is that
The team
still, would they
aspect.
take, there's a basketball game, you're a 5th grader, and I don't get to play, but then a student who doesn't go to RCS gets the spot, is that what you're saying?
That's kinda what I'm saying, yeah.
Yeah.
It's-
well,
How
is
do
there a
we-
line though if they can come practice and not
Not,
compete? Is that weird?
Well,
Okay.
When you're 12, yes.
I know, but there's
Yeah.
also a lot,
Mhm.
Right, you're saying, keep them involved.
Keep them
engaged,
involved,
part
and
of the
then
program.
we know that could lead to them choosing RCS and them getting involved and,
Mhm.
I think to that point, I think with such complexities, is the reason as to why many corporations would just simply have that universal, policy and or provision, established.
Mhm.
Because even then, if your son's getting more reps in practice than my son, is the reason as to why my son is not covered.
Yeah.
But I think, keeping as many kids involved,
Mhm.
is definitely, especially
Yeah.
as young as we know, kids sometimes would turn away from extracurriculars
Mhm.
because of X, Y, or Z.
I'll ask a question that may not reflect how I'm feeling, but I'll ask the question anyway. Is there any possibility in the case of participation in the middle school for someone who's homeschooled or going to another type of schooling system, that if they were to participate, that there's a limited amount of time, like how many quarters or so that they could play, so as not to completely dominate and then eliminate somebody who is an enrolled RCS student? Now, I ask that question just to put that out there for thought process. It may not necessarily reflect how I'm really feeling though.
Mhm.
But I think also an option that could potentially be explored, and let us do some homework on as well, is intramural.
That's what I was just gonna, you read my mind, because I'm like that, as the off-season too.
That's a little more internal.
Like inviting those kids to come
And they
there's-
can participate in summer camps, right?
Yes.
Yes. And, what about, I mean, charging just for because if, the way this is written, they have to have dual enrollment, right? So they'd have to go half-time. So if that doesn't happen, but they say, I wanna pay for band, I wanna pay for tennis, does that get too complicated? That still, but that still leaves it up to the same problem.
Yeah.
All of these
Didn't-
kinda lead back, and I
Yeah.
liked your question, and then I thought, how would you do choir or band?
You can only sing half the song.
Yeah.
yeah.
You're the treble, or you're, no, no.
My eighth grade choir teacher always told me to do is just sing half the song and make sure it comes out of your mouth. But
First
I
verse.
think,
Complicated,
I think
because we
to-
want to invite everyone, but then
But even
doesn't
that-
make fair for the students who.
We want them enrolled in our school, like,
Yeah, we
you know, the
want them.
micro school
Yes,
is
that's
obviously
right.
gonna be poaching kids.
That's right.
So I think that's kind of why some of this exists.
Yes.
So, but, you know, again, Friends doesn't have a high school.
Mhm.
Well, and they're sort of under our purview a
Kind
little
of,
bit.
yes.
You know, some oversight that.
But I think in, like, to
Paper.
Kristen's point though, like, if, does that bring up a situation that, you know, someone's paying to play?
Mhm.
So, or then is the coach more inclined to pay that person, or, I'm sorry, play that student?
But what if
Because
it's
they
the-
are, you know,
Sorry, I didn't mean to
I don't know, it's just.
Right.
What if the
It's
school,
complicated.
like, okay, I just feel like Friends School is, to me, I'm like stuck on them a little bit, cause it's a
Unique.
outlier.
Uh-huh.
And maybe it's not, the parents aren't paying, it's an agreement with the school. If they have kids that wanna come take band, and so the school, there's an agreement to help cover costs. So that's, to me, it shifts it, because it's not like I'm a parent, I'm shelling out cash to you. It's the school helping to
Mhm.
offset some of the cost.
So an agreement with one school, is that biased then? Will other schools come and say we want that, also that agreement?
No,
And-
because they offer sports, the other schools, except homeschool. But
Well, what
homeschool-
about a charter school that opens up in Richmond?
Yeah,
and says,
charter schools don't have,
I
if
want
they
the
don't have
same
sports,
agreement,
then-
and you're
gonna-
discriminating against, I don't know.
So I think that goes back to where I want students that wanna be at RCS
Mhm.
Yeah.
and not just come do extracurriculars, cause,
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know.
But then how do we get those students? It goes into the whole argument of
I don't know, I mean,
showing them our programs, but they've gotta be able to, and you guys, I'm all 100% RHS, RCS on it, but I don't necessarily know the 100% right answer. Like I said, I'm kind of stuck on the Friends School, because like my daughter went to True Blood, we even looked at it potentially, but it was just too small for her to go to kindergarten. But I don't know. And also I am limiting my thought to 3rd through 8th.
A lot of restaurants
Great.
give out samples in order
So
for
if
you
a
to buy.
Friends student wanted to participate in choir, and, well, what's the first, I mean, what grade are we talking about where they could they participate in 5th grade in choir? Yeah. So the student would have to be.
I think it's 6th grade.
A 6th grade, okay, so.
Oh, wait, no, it's 5th grade choir, band is 6th grade.
Okay, so I'm a 5th grade student at Friends, and I want to participate in RCS choir, then I have to be enrolled at Test then,
Then would
for
they
half the
enroll-
day? Is that what we're saying to get? Okay.
That's what we
So
were just
for the,
discussing.
so
Dual.
for the non-pub schools, it's the dually enrolled, they would have to be half-time.
Halftime, so half
Half-time.
day.
That's when we receive the funding for.
Mhm.
And then if it's homeschool, they can do 1 period, or 2 or 3, they can
Okay.
divide it into 8s.
Okay,
So they could ask to be in choir class, right?
but they'd have to
Or
be
do they have
enrolled,
homeschool?
only
Homeschool.
homeschool, but
Yeah.
Friends student would have to be half day.
Half-time.
Half day, but they could, one of those, if they wanted to be choir or band, obviously I
Mhm.
don't think they need band, because Mercamp is going there, but, that kind of counts for that too. but obviously sports aren't.
And you said you couldn't find another, or Stephen couldn't find any corporation in Indiana that allows district students to participate in
Yeah,
there.
he said all the policies are that there's not participation from students who attend non-pro.
I wouldn't say we looked at every. when you
Well,
said like
right.
that, but the ones we look at are in our area.
Mhm. Gotcha.
With, to your point, financial constraints that are in
Mhm.
place on schools across the state, yeah, many are just by response of full enrollment, or some sort.
Okay, I have two questions. Okay, one, I think maybe this is like if you all are to talk to the athletic department and really maybe get the word out, if there are intramurals, right? If there are places for them, I don't know if you guys really broadcast it out.
We do have with, 5th and 6th grade volleyball is currently the only intramurals that we have. If there are not enough kids for
Mhm.
a team per se, they tend to like, cross-country, for example, at the middle
Mhm.
school. Those 5th and 6th graders simply run with the middle school kids and compete, you know what I mean, and run. Their
Mhm.
scores don't count necessarily, but they run with the middle school team.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
but their scores don't count. So the only intramurals that I know of currently are volleyball.
Okay, but maybe that's, if we're talking to the coaches and then reevaluate, because maybe there's more interest and we haven't really, so we're not really changing what we do, but that might be enough to get them interested.
Mhm.
And then my second question, since we think we currently have at least a couple kids, what are we doing with them?
Like a grandfathering.
I
was
are you-
gonna ask that too.
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah,
know, like, cause it sounds like if
So
friend's school, like, there might be someone already in, are they enrolled half-time, are they, what is?
There was the conversation that, there already may be enrollment with a few of those said, but it
Mhm.
seems that may not be the case. But I think I heard the term grandfather,
Mhm.
I think at this
Mhm.
juncture, as we are settling this, would be, some appropriateness with it. I know that, I think we exercised such in the past, but, let us, find out with those specific students,
Mhm.
which that is. and
Okay.
follow up.
I'd say most of that got fleshed out in that of the students that I'm
Yeah.
aware of as we've had this discussion.
Mhm.
Most 8th graders have made their choice for high school, they're either with us or went somewhere
Mhm.
else. And fall sports are currently just getting underway. And so that's where we would have to kind of make a decision based on this, what the administrative guideline would say to communicate to those specific families. And then I would simply have to communicate to administrators in the athletic department what the policies and procedures would be for folks moving forward. So I think most of the fall sports at the lower levels have probably gotten underway. I don't know about middle school. Well, they've been having open gyms and stuff, so I would say most of those
Okay.
kids have been participating with their peers, at least in some capacity in July. So that would be the group. And I don't know how big that group is. I don't know how many kids. I know I have at least spoken with one individual who is looking to do that, so I'd have to reach out and find out if we did want to grandfather.
Yeah,
And
it's,
you're talking about like 7th and 8th graders, like coming in to, or do they go all the way back to 5th and 6th graders, or?
That's another part, yeah, we probably have to take a look at 5th and 6th grade too, because 5th and 6th grade, football, we offer football, like I said, the kids join the middle school cross-country team and all run together. Volleyball runs as intramurals, just because most schools we've found that don't offer 5th and 6th grade teams through the school, it's usually YMCA or whatever.
Mhm.
So they run an intramural schedule, and then golf is just combined in the spring. So I think, soccer, but I don't think 5th and 6th grade, I don't think we have a soccer team.
Mm-mm. I think they just
Yeah, they start.
started 7 and 8. Mhm.
So really, it's just football at this point, maybe some cross-country
Mhm.
kids.
Would the board be comfortable with allowing admin to figure out that grandfather grace period?
Mhm. Yeah.
for that group of fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, whatever, wherever you feel like the cut should be, or is making that decision to
Yeah, 'cause
allow
I
grace.
think,
but-
I think the individual I spoke to, or the email communications in space say spoke to, but email communication was parents are trying to make decisions about, they're making enrollment decisions about their kids, and so if I wanted, based on our policy, they've been watching this, so if I wanted my child to play basketball, they're making the decision now whether or not to enroll, so that when basketball starts in October, they would be in a position to do that. So does an individual like that get grandfathered, or someone whose son is already outfitted and practicing with their fifth and sixth grade team get to continue? So those would be kind of the discussions to have as to, I don't recall, I'm not sure if he mentioned which sport he was looking at, but the playbook was emailing about about the decision that the board was making to kind of know.
But again, as we've discussed, and as this has been a conversation topic for some time, those same inconsistencies just create that more complexity, which is why a lot of schools, and I think, Mr. Brand's question, which is why I think even Stephen, even the NCC or what, has had difficulty in finding, because it's a moving target.
Because the basketball season rolls around and find out that Ms. Hiller she goes to, I thought you passed
Oh,
in
right.
July that, well, we grandfathered her in, because she's best friends with me, that kind, and all that, how that.
Yeah, and I even
So
see it too, like
it's
with
tough.
marching band too.
Yeah.
Like Seton and none of them have marching band, and it's like,
Yeah.
eighth graders can march, and it's like, yes, the nuances in managing it, but then the other part of it, it's like, come experience march, we wouldn't necessarily let them, I don't know if they would probably not march in high school because it's a class, but that summer marching, it's a slippery slope, I get it, but like we say, Richmond offers things the county schools don't.
The best choice we can.
Right.
Best choice we can.
Yeah.
All right, I have a motion by Pickering and a second by Stevens. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Vote passes 5-0. We are at the end of our policy meeting time. We have 2 additional policies. Does the board want to table these for the next policy meeting, or do you prefer to talk through these? These were not ones we were acting on, but ones that we were going to review. You guys want to get out of here, or you want to, our
We-
posted time was till 5:30.
I think I would at least, they kind of go together, but I don't know, I kind of want to talk about the job descriptions. Is
Anyone
that-
else want to table or move on, or, and move this to the next one, or hang out longer? I don't have a lot of time.
I'm hungry.
Yeah.
I'll just say this, like, we don't necessarily have to go in.
Sitting here, my stomach's
I
talking
think
too.
this was mainly for getting your job description that we don't have, but then I did find that this is basically the job description, that I don't think any of us ever put 2 and 2 together.
I know, as I read them too, it says the
I was
board
like-
develops
like, this is your job
that,
description.
and that is it.
I mean, granted, we could change it but when Ruth Stone brought it up, and that's why I found the job description policy, but then realized the actual responsibilities of the superintendent, when you look at it, under that purview, it's your job description that we don't officially have. I even tried to search PAL item when you applied to see if it was in there, and it's got some broken links and it won't link anywhere, but, so we can definitely talk about like what's in here at a later point, but that was the part that,
Yeah, because it does say the job description for the superintendent shall be defined as a policy of the
Mhm.
board, which is that policy then.
yeah. And maybe this should be superintendent job description and not maybe superintendent job description and responsibilities, just so it's more clear.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
that would make sense.
But Dr., if you wanna just review this too.
Yeah, well,
And
I'll
then we
definitely do,
can-
sure, and I think also, in that same vein, finding where it correlates with the strategic plan.
Yeah.
Our
Mhm.
strategic plan that the board's approved, absolutely, we'll look at that and discuss it
considering that's the one employee that we do actually have, and the discussion should be intentional.
Well, can someone tell Ruth Stone that we have his job description so she doesn't yell at me in her head still?
We will go ahead and schedule our next policy meeting, and then we will adjourn. The next meeting will be a 10 a.m. meeting, and I don't really have Stephen's calendar, so we'll tentatively. August 18th, 10 a.m. The day before.
For our board meeting.
Oh, yeah, no,
So
we don't want
is
that.
one, or we can.
Um,
We try to get the policies in,
Oh,
so we'll have.
but they won't have been posted, right? So we,
we
so,
can just wait until
yeah.
the next-
I'm just looking at the end of, really, it should fall at the beginning. What about September 1st?
Well, we have that board retreat on the 31st of August.
Mm-hmm. September 8th. 10 a.m. And that may be tentative based on Stephen and what if he has a big group of policies and what his calendar says. Does that look doable, possibly?
Doesn't matter, that's
We
the day
won't-
after Labor Day.
Oh.
Ooh.
I'm not sure if that's problematic for anyone or not.
Yeah, does that affect anyone, or is that okay?
Stephen is available that day.
Okay. If that works, let's just keep that on the 8th at 10 a.m. We won't need a quorum for that meeting. We'll go back to our policy meetings of, discussions more than voting. So it's kind of an atypical. Okay, great. Thank you for being here. Meeting adjourned.